U.S. Women's National Team head coach Jenny Levy has been terrific during her time in North Carolina. She's led the Tar Heels to 11 Final Fours, couple of national championships, and now looking to lead the U.S. Women's National Team to a gold in the 2021 World Cup that is scheduled for next summer in Towson, Maryland. So we have U.S. Women's National Team head coach Jenny Levy on call this week. Jenny, thanks so much for taking some time.
Thanks for having me. Hope you're doing well and staying safe and healthy.
Yeah, we are, and we're going to try to help out some of the coaches out there with some different breakdowns, and we got questions to answer. Why don't we start with looking back at your game from the Fall Classic against Team Canada. And we're going to start on this end of the field where, in talking to you, I know you were trying to attack the Canadian zone. How did you go about doing that?
Well, if you look, now, this was, first of all, Canada's first time playing together in a while, so I'm sure that there's a lot of parts of this zone play for them that they're going to sharpen up. But, you know, if you're looking at this, you know you're in zone because they're passing off. What I saw early on is 2 low with a rover inside and 3 high. And what we want to do is put three low. So we like to have one at X and 2 on those goal line extended areas. And they're also moving. So we want the ball to move and their bodies to move. And we want to challenge them to drop their rover low. To match our players, because basically when we put 3 low, and you'll notice our low can either be behind goal line extended or up on the wing, those guys that Canada will have a decision to either match feet or play man down. And as soon as they match feet, then we're basically looking at making their zone into more of a man. And then you start to fill seams as they pass off. So that's what we'll be looking at right here.
And so we have another play, another example of a little bit about what you're talking about here.
All right. So you'll see we got a player at X. So the 3 low guys are working together and rotating around the crease as our middies are coming in. So you'll see the ball go from high to low. And then you pause it right there in that transition. As the ball goes from high to low on us, they actually drop one of their middies in the zone low, so then it ends up a 3v4, and then the middle middie becomes a cutter, which then pulls the middle low defender off and allows for Emily Hawerschek to be free in that seam for a feed from Sam Apuzzo.
And so if you look at the second half, Canada switched some things up. Obviously, it's a feeling out process. How did things differ when they went man?
Well, we still kept the same formation. So we still had 3 people rotating low and the middies working on a string high. And we used ball movement, feet movement. No one held on to the ball very long. We'll look to change fields either from high to low or east to west. Really patient. Marie McCool takes a dodge right here. She doesn't like it because the slides come in her face. She dumps it off. Molly ends up taking that shot, but she's got a Apuzzo open on the backside. So, you know, our players were able to realize that they went from zone to man, and we're going to attack it with a dodge. And I think whether in this case they were in man, but in the first half we also attacked the zone with a dodge, and that really, I think people get surprised by that. So, you know, those are a couple things that we're thinking about. But the biggest thing is ball movement. We didn't want the ball to be sticky in anyone's stick. So when you catch it, you're looking to drive, you're looking to feed, or you're looking to move it. And so you kind of have an internal clock in your head of 1, 2, 3. And then once you move it, you're reading what step ahead of the play, whether you need to pass and go, pass and hold, you know, or you're involved with the 2-man play, right, for the person that you pass to. So those are some of the concepts we were working on this day.
And the final play we have ends up in an individual effort from Dempsey Arsenal, but some of the same things that you discussed in terms of getting that opportunity, right?
Yeah, here you go. Just the ball's moving. 1, 2, 3. You got some just moving it around right here. Dempsey just sees the double ball side cut. She's an amazing dodger. Takes the outside lane and comes back underneath and finishes pretty nice and easy. So But we had been doing so much ball movement, and the players were moving, so it was really hard for Canada to send the slides because of the movement of the other players.
So we now move into the portion of Coaches on Call where you actually kind of are on call. We got questions that have come in from mostly from Instagram, and we're going to kind of rapid fire send them off to you. We're going to start with Michelle DM18, who sent in this question: how are you maintaining a coach mentality when lacrosse season is currently MIA?
Well, first and foremost, we are really working to continue to connect with our Carolina team. They are still finishing up academics that go to the end of April. We have an opportunity to do a lot of player evaluations and wrap up of the season. So just being in contact with our current Carolina team has been really helpful, and staying engaged with them. We also, as far as the U.S. team goes, got some, like everybody else, some challenging news in that our training camp in June isn't going to happen, and we're still waiting for July's news. But just trying to. Our U.S. team is a bunch of veterans and really professional athletes that really care about their fitness and staying focused and fit. And I know it's not easy for them to be training while they don't really know what the next step will be for them athletically, but they stay connected via Zoom as well. A lot of those guys also are coaches, so they're working with their own teams at home. But me personally, I'm using this time to look back at our season, what we did well, and also looking, start to plan the future as well.
You mentioned Carolina and Team USA. It leads us into our next question from Natalie Fleener, 15 here, which is, obviously a little different now without lacrosse, but ultimately, how do you handle being Carolina's head coach and also Team USA's head coach?
Well, it's a big balancing act to work with a collegiate team that obviously we want to compete at the highest level and strive to win national championships and ACC championships. So I try to be where my feet are. So if I am working on Carolina things, I put my Carolina gear on and work and make sure my focus is on that. And then if I'm shifting over to US, I carve out specific time during the day or during the week or during the month to specifically work with USA stuff. So we've got weekly calls with the US Lacrosse and planning and scheduling, and also my staff stays in touch. And then obviously my Carolina job is a lot easier to stay on front of mind because I'm at Carolina every day and working with our athletes and my staff. So it's a balancing act, but two really different coaching experiences, quite honestly. The collegiate teams, those guys are young. They're coming in 18 to 22 years old, and the growth and the mentoring and the leadership that you have to give them at a really important time in their life is different. The U.S. team, although we do have collegiate players on that currently, a lot of those guys have played in World Cups. They have been tremendous collegiate players who graduated, and they play at the national team level for the love of the game. And a lot of them coach. So what we are doing with the national team is very different than what you do as a collegiate coach.
Our next question coming in from Shake School Lacrosse. And I actually really like this question. How much offense is called / scripted versus how much is it more free play, or is it a balance of both?
Well, I believe that offense is the most creative part of the game. And I believe that when you can teach your players the game and also back it up with skill, then you can create offenses that are all reads and not scripted. And so I'm really lucky. Katrina Dowd's on my staff at Carolina, and she's an unbelievable coach and has the opportunity to work with a lot of our athletes on a day in day out basis and help them improve their skill and their creativity for the game. And by doing that, it really allows us to play a very unscripted offense. And the national team level, we also are very unscripted, but the key there is because everybody is such a high level, is getting the different talents to mesh and getting their timing correct and getting their chemistry right. So that's a bigger challenge at the national team level because we don't practice every day. If that group practiced every day, the sky is the limit. They are so talented. So they already come in with a great deal of knowledge about the game, really high IQ for the game, and so and their talent is so high, so it really allows us to play a very exciting level of lacrosse, which is my goal at both the collegiate and the national team level.
So we're going to have you put your Carolina hat back on here for this final question that came in from Alara Cornett. How can you get noticed by top colleges if you live in states where lacrosse isn't that big yet?
So we live in North Carolina, obviously, and my husband and I, we have 3 kids, and they have gone, they play club lacrosse, and so getting seen and getting noticed from smaller club programs is very hard. I know that my son my oldest son played on a local club team in North Carolina that actually a lot of the kids were recruited off of. So it's a fine balance between going to camps and putting yourself into the best environment that you can, trying out for some of the more collected, the tryout teams like Under Armour All-American, where you're not with necessarily your area club team, but your area players. But we have a player from Michigan right now. She's a sophomore, and we found her on a club team, and she came to one of our little small 7v7 tournaments. She played on the U19 this summer, and she's from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and has just really worked hard. So you just have to put yourself out there, be willing to travel a little bit more than maybe you want to, but I think that time will pay off for getting seen. But I also tell you that in the women's game, there's so many great opportunities to play collegiate lacrosse, both Division 1, 2, and 3. And so, if you work hard and you love the game and you love your stick and getting your stick work up and running, there's absolutely a program for you out there.
And I think that's a great way to end this. Jenny, thank you so much for being on call here.
Yeah, thanks.